My dad used to play around with me a lot, wrestling and potting, slapped me around, lay on me so I couldn't get up and I had to fight him off. And I don't think a lot of dads do that with their kids these days. But it definitely made me a lot tougher. Also, when I deserved it, when I was a bad kid, Dad would give me discipline harder than anyone else. Dad also introduced me to Batman and Bruce Lee and a lot of other action movies. I think when you're a kid, action heroes are important, because when I was a kid, I watched Bruce Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'd walk away feeling tough, kind of like I was them, like I could take on anything. When I was a kid, my two best friends was my dad Zep, who was bald hair, cross cattle, and me granddad. Granddad used to be at my house every day, and he'd like going down the back on the 5 acres and working on a garden, and he was ready to play with me when I got home from school. When I grew up, that the family, friends, and the people I had around with treated me like everyone else. If I wasn't pulling me weight, they'd tell me, and I was expected to do everything that they did with no special treatment. I never think of my disability. I don't even know how to spell cerebral palsy, and I don't care. If I can't do something, I know it'll take longer for me to do it than it will anybody else. But I don't remind myself it's because I got a disability. I just look at it as it is what it is. These days, everyone's so quick to label people and go on about their disability. And I think all that does is give people an excuse not to do anything. Some people with disabilities grow up and they get a lot of special treatment. The people around them who are giving them special treatment think that they are giving them a wonderful life and a perfect life, and they're not upsetting them. But really, you are upsetting them, and you're not giving them a perfect life. Because if you're not hard on them now, and you don't give them discipline, then later on in life, when they go to do a challenge, they're not gonna know how to handle it. I think I've done so well because when I was growing up, my mum got me into a mainstream school instead of the special school. When I was going to kindergarten, we fought hard to get me into Brindley School, because that's where my sister and all my friends are going. And I wanted to be like everyone else, and I wanted to do what everyone else does. Growing up in the mainstream school, being the only one with a disability, meant when I joined in with the other kids at sport or different activities, I had no excuses. When I was in year 4, I had a mate, Hayden, who come into my class. He was a year above me, and he repeated, so he was in my year. We lived on the same road. Hayden was twice the size of me. The first day he came over, I told him I did karate. So he threw me on the ground and pinned me down, and I was struggling and they couldn't get out of it. And Hayden looked at me and said, "You gotta ask your karate teacher to teach you how to get out of pins." Hayden and all the other kids treated me just like everyone else, and they were tough on me. And they gave me no special treatment. And that helped me later on in life, because in life you're always gonna face challenges as you get older. And because of the upbringing I had, when the challenge would come to me later on in life, I was tough and ready to take it on with no excuses. I needed help to get involved was one day I was at my mate's house and he was jumping from the roof of an aviary onto the trampoline, and I didn't like sitting out on anything, so I got my mate to help me climb up to the roof of the aviary, drag me up on the roof, and then I'd jump off onto the trampoline. When we were a bit older, Hayden was hanging around a guy called Marshall, who in Marshall's yard backed on to Hayden's yard. Marshall had a truck yard, and Hayden wasn't very good at school, so Hayden used to need to do his homework, show Marshall that the homework was completed, and Marshall would learn Hayden how to work on trucks, and he'd also give him the truck to drive around and a couple of paddock bashes. So at 10 years old, I'd have Hayden come pick me up in a car and take me to his house. Down the back of Hayden's house, he had a rally track for his paddock bashes, and it was his skinny bush track. And sometimes the gap between trees that we used to fly through in the car were that scary that when I first used to get in the car with Hayden, I was that scared I'd keep my head down in my lap like that and wouldn't even want to look where I was going. After a while, I just enjoyed it and I wasn't scared anymore. One day we were driving through this tight gap of two trees, and it was a tight fit, and Hayden fit the car through that gap, and one of the mirrors got hit against the tree, and when we went out of the gap there was a mirror on the side of the car just dangling by a cord. Hayden wound the window and punched the mirror off the car, and the mirror fell to the ground, and we just thought it was funny and kept driving. It was all fun in the car till one day my sister had her friend Megan over, and she was a real good sort. So we asked his sister to bring her friend to Hayden's. So Hayden got Megan in the car and he's teaching her how to drive the manual and explaining where the accelerator and the clutch and how to work the gear stick and all that kind of stuff. So Megan got in the driver's seat, put her foot down, she hit the accelerator instead of the clutch, and we launched straight into this tree. The bonnet was all smashed and everyone ran out the car. I was sitting in the back seat in denial that this car was totaled and all the fun was over. couple of years later, I had to move down to Bringelly and ended up going to Port Macquarie. I kept hanging around Marshall. I enjoyed going to his house since I was 10 years old, because for some reason I got along with older people more than people my age. So for a while I was going to Marshall's house all the time, every week. And I just enjoyed hanging around all the old workers while they were working on the trucks and just having a good yarn with them and laughing and talking shit with all the men. A bit older, I was wondering what I was gonna do for work. So I went around to Marshall's one day and I asked him about the forklift. Marshall said, "We'll get you guys to come in tomorrow morning and we'll get you a turn on the forklift." Marshall told me is that if I was to get a job driving a forklift with having a disability, if I ever made a mistake on a forklift, people would make a video causing me disability and say I shouldn't be driving it. So Marshall set out that if I was going to get a job as a forklift driver, I had to prove myself. I went over there the morning later. Marshall outside and Nazi got me on a forklift and was teaching me how to steer and how the forks work and got me driving around the yard. It was pretty successful. So Marshall gave me a book and told me whoever was in the yard when I came to drive the forklift, one of the workers would need to put in the time till I drove the forklift and sign their name. And when I got to 100 hours, Marshall said that was when I was ready to try and get my forklift license. Well, I was pretty keen to get working, and I knew to make up the 100 hours I had to go to Marshall's every day. And there was times where I could go to Marshall's in a day, even if no one was in the yard. I could just get on a forklift, start it up, and just start driving around, tidying up pallets in the yard, and just getting good at controlling the fork. When I got good at that, Marshall told me to grab the stack of pallets and just make them all fall over on the ground everywhere and make a mess. So I made a mess of a pile of pallets on the ground, and Marshall said I had to turn that messy pile into a straight stack of pallets, clean and tidy. As he got good at messing up pallets and stacking them up straight and tidy after, Marshall got me the load trucks, and for a while, when I was driving there regularly in the yard, I was known as the best forklift driver in the yard. When I was about 17, I knew that I could drive pretty much anything. I never had a go at driving a car, but I knew I was able to get my license. Mum was too scared to take me for a drive in a car. One day I got up and I decided to go for a walk down the road like I always did. Normally, I go out the house and turn left and walk up the hill on the left side of the street, 'cause on the right side down the road there was a big German Shepherd that would attack you. Well, bugger it. I'll go down the right side of the road. They might not have that German Shepherd no more. So I went for a walk down the right side of the road. I got near the end of the road, and there was this good looking girl that come out to the fence, and I started talking to her. Growing up nearly 20 years in Bringelly, I didn't have any girls that lived on my road that were my age, so I got a bit excited. After a while, I was hanging around there a fair bit, and I got to know their mum real well. The girl's mum loved to drink. He'd sit out the front, enjoy some beers all day till his lawn net, and I'd go out on the front veranda and I'd sit there and have a yarn with her through the day. She'd always be listening to country music, and she'd educated me in what good music was. One day Jan Hudson come home and bought her a brand new pallet basher. It was a Panavan. Jan thought it was the best day of her life, and it was better than winning the lotto. I told Jan that I wanted to learn how to drive the car, and I knew that I'm good enough to do it, but everyone's scared to give me a go. Jan said if I got there the next morning and gave the new pallet basher a wash, she'd pay me some money and give me lessons how to drive. So the next morning I turned up there and done a pearl of the job, cleaning this Panavan. She ended up throwing in an extra $20. So she sat me down in the driver's seat, she got in the passenger seat, and she had a long neck in between the legs and taught me how to drive. And the first time she told me to stop, my foot didn't have much control, and I hit the brakes real hard, and we both flew forward. And Jan turned to me and said, "Ah, shit. You made me spill part of me beer." As we kept going, I got better and better, till one day Jan rang Mum and told her to come over to the yard, and we got a surprise for her. Later on that day, Mum came down in the yard, got out of the car, and saw me driving the Panavan around the yard. After that, she knew I could drive the car, and she took me to get me out and taught me how to drive. One day, Mum was at the running shop, and she ran into her old mate Charlie. We've known Charlie since we were kids, but not too well, we just see him now and then. Charlie asked Mum how I was going, and told her how he'd always see me run up and down the road and fall over every 10 metres and pick myself back up and keep running. Charlie asked Mum if I was interested in drawing to get me when I get up for school early the next morning to go and see Charlie before I go to school. The next morning, went over to Charlie's house and we had a bit of a yarn, and from that day on, Charlie taught me how to draw and we become good mates. To this day, every week just about, I still go and visit Marshall and Charlie. Well, then it took me 4 years to do an ollie. Every day I go outside, practice doing an ollie over and over and over. I'd start practicing when I got off the bus from school till it was dark and I couldn't see. When I was practicing doing an ollie, I'd swear at my body and swear at my legs till they did what I told them to do. I eventually, one day, went outside and popped an ollie. And from then on, that got me confidence up even more. When I was 15, I got an interest in rugby league. I wanted to play, and I wanted to be real good at it as well. So I go to school, and I join the kids in their games when they were playing before school, recess and lunch, and after school. So I get real good at it. I told the kids at school when they tackle me as hard as everyone else, and play as hard as they do on me as they do just like everyone else. If they played hard on me that way, I could keep a monitor on how good I was getting. Later on, I joined the touch footy comp at Campbelltown with all able-bodied players. Because I was playing touch footy with able-bodied players, it was hard for me to make meters, and it was even hard for me just to keep up with the game, running back and forth up and down the field. Because it was so hard playing with able-bodied players, it seemed impossible to do good. And that's what I loved about it. So I knew to monitor my progress, every extra step I make on my runs, week in and week out, meant that I was getting better. And if I ever played against people with a disability, I would dominate it after trying to keep up with the able-bodied players. When I grabbed the ball and touch footy, a defender would just come run at me and touch me, so it was over pretty quick because I couldn't match their speed. So what I did is started practicing passing. The week later, a defender ran straight up to me and thought he'd just touch me so I'd be over, and I had one of my players run right next to me. When this defender rushed straight up to me to make an easy touch, just before he got to me, I passed the ball to my mate, and my mate ran in the hole that defender left behind him. And that was me adapting. One game I took a run up with the ball against the opposition that had a team where they thought they'd just let me run through and score a try. And I hated that because I didn't want to score a try unless I earned it. Even though I was playing against able-bodied players, I liked the feeling that it was impossible to do anything good, so I could monitor my progress week in and week out. So the whole first half, these players would try to get me to run straight from, but I didn't want to score a try easy, so I just stopped running till they just touched me. And at half time, I got real angry that they were letting me run. And that's the only time that I've ever been upset with having a disability, when people give you special treatment. Because I used to take what I do very serious and train real hard to know how good I was getting. And I didn't want to let anyone make me think that I was better than I really was. So in the second half, I put a stop to it. When the defender was running at me, instead of just tapping him, I'd get an open hand and swing almost a punch at him. And I do that every time someone ran at me. And after a couple of times of hitting these players, they started hating me, and they didn't want to do me any special favours. One day I woke up, a mum came in the room and said there was the start of the physical disability rugby league comp. And I knew that after playing with able-bodied players, I knew that with all the hard work I've been doing, it was my time to get real good and have a real good shot at this rugby league disability. So when I signed up to the comp, I started watching games of rugby league over and over and over. I wanted to play in the hard, so I watched players like Brett Kenny, Joey Jones and Greg Alexander. And I'd study the game and the ball playing and the kicking game. And the mate Daniel had been silly that I grew up with since kindergarten, and when I started playing rugby league, Daniel would help me get real good. He'd help me work on me kicking and catching. If I couldn't catch the ball, Daniel would grab the whole 10 balls that were on the ground and pop them up real quick. And he made me catch and drop, and they hit me face and everything. I had balls coming at me from everywhere, and it was that hard to catch them all that I'd start laughing. And Daniel helped me a lot with my rugby league skills. And he was pretty tough on me too while we were at the Oval. If I was being lazy, he'd yell at me and pick me up and make me train harder and harder and get the best out of me. When I was playing footy, I had him brother Aaron come to watch me. His family was like my family. After watching me, he'd sign up and he played every game with me on the team for the rest of the year. And it was good to play with brother. When I was in this disability rugby league comp, the other players with disabilities would see a guy that's real tall and real big body size, and they used to make a big deal about him and say, watch out for him, we don't want to tackle him, he's gonna kill us. So when they used to say that, I would make it my job, being the smallest and one of the most affected by a disability in the comp, I'll make it my job to get the biggest guy that everyone thought was good, and I'd tackle him that hard that I'd grab him around the legs and drop him straight to the ground, and I'd show everyone that size doesn't matter. Katrina was my drum teacher. She taught me so much about how to work my body and how to make it better. She was big on movements, coordination, posture and technique. She taught me to do things in slow movements. She also taught me breathing techniques while I'm doing stuff, and that would make me muscles go more relaxed and I'd have better control. Katrina was a game changer, and she helped me so much and taught me a lot and helped me achieve a lot of goals, bigger and better, for the rest of my life. At the moment, I'm working on getting me truck driver's license. I've always wanted to drive a truck, and my mate Frankie is taking me on his truck and learning me how to drive it. Growing up and overcoming obstacles with a disability. I'm Batman.
is so sweet.